Last week, we talked about Sabo, Shanks, and Greenbull in chapter 10,054, and that lit off an indicator that Oda will be wasting no time to get things started and finished as quickly and efficiently as possible. So let's see if Oda burns through this Greenbull and Scabbards fight in one chapter or in 5. God. Before the beginning of the chapter, we get an Yuta panel with her walking around and digging through things, communicating with people after they found out that their houses are burning, which and this really doesn't matter that much. It's besides from the fact that this pretty much confirms that Yuta is canon to the story. Chapter starts off with us returning to the Momo and Greenbull fight, with Yamato yelling, "Why won't you let me fight?" with Momo still standing his ground saying you must not lay a hand on him. In the next two panels, we can see Raizo and Greenbull have a standoff, with Raizo getting stabbed with Greenbull's tree branch, which draws out energy from Raizo. Same thing that we saw a few chapters ago with King and Queen getting their energy strained from Greenbull while him using this power. We see some of the other scabbards rush to attack Greenbull after draining Raizo's power, and he does the same with them, grabbing onto them after Raizo ran and attacked Greenbull. In the next panel, we get to see Robin and Law follow Odin's dad at the bottom of the Wano capital in the Wano castle basement, where he takes them to show them where the poneglyph is hidden. He says that it would be easy for fishermen to find this poneglyph because if passages would be hidden underwater. We then see Robin ask where that dim light is coming from, and then they look through that small dim hidden light and see that Wano is hidden underwater. So we get to see some of the void century here, and I think that Wano was much larger at a sea level, but over half of Wano was taken and put underwater. The next panel, we see him take Robin and Law down to the bottom of the basement where they showed the lode poneglyph, and then Robin explains that this is the third poneglyph and they only need one more to go to Laugh-Tale for Luffy to become the king of the pirates. So we're essentially pretty much only one arc away from Luffy getting the last poneglyph. Pluton is a little bit explained here, but we don't know that much about it because Odin's dad says that he hasn't seen it and he cannot show them the hidden weapon, but the hidden weapon is in Wano. Then he says that retrieving Pluton will require the removal of the walls that surround this nation, and opening the country is quite literally a literal act. They would lose their greatest defense, and it would set loose one of the ancient weapons. And I'm pretty sure that he doesn't want to set loose one of the ancient weapons to the public. Then Robin asks, opening the country unleashes Pluton, and then she says, why would Odin want that? He says that everything that he has told them has been passed down through generations with the Shogunite's rule. He says that he cannot speak on why Odin may have learned himself during his voyages for the outside world. We then get a cutoff to Greenbull talking about how he wouldn't have fought in Wano if Kaido was still in charge. And then he says, I'm sure living under his regime was miserable, but the order was imposed, and he was the deterrent that kept the other predators from targeting your country. Then he grabs onto the other scabbards and says, bring me Straw Hat Luffy already. I'll leave after I take his head. Yamato then declares that let's call Luffy and the gang to show this guy boss. Momo then responds to Yamato refusing to allow to get Luffy's help because of all of the help that he's gotten from the past arcs, and he doesn't want to rely on their help again after all of what's been through after Wano. He yells at Yamato, declaring that he wants to be the one to take care of Wano and to be the main leader for it, because Luffy and the other crew members won't be able to stay there with him after they leave. He understands that he has to take control and prepare to protect Wano after and in the future, for himself and for the people staying there. In the next panel, we see Greenbull get attacked with a bolo breath from Momonosuke, and he obliterates Greenbull entirely through his body, and Greenbull is burned down to an entire crisp. You see Greenbull slowly grow back from the small plant and regenerates himself, saying that since you're so hell-bent on hand-playing hardball, I'll have it your way. I'll skewer you and you wanna be in Kaido routine from mouth to tail. So we see that he can just regrow himself after getting completely burnt down. So any real fire attacks won't really work on him because he can just regenerate himself if there's plants nearby, I'm assuming. I don't know if this will work everywhere. I don't think he'll be able to do it if he's just standing on concrete or without plants or any real standing for himself. But this is really an interesting way to show that he can regenerate himself even after getting completely blown to smithereens from top to bottom. In the next panel, we get to see him getting shocked with the wave of Conqueror's Haki, and he's standing up with his hands up like he's being interrogated by the police or with somebody with the gun behind him. And then he declares that the red-haired pirates are here too. And Shanks is using his Conqueror's Haki from across the ocean, attacking Green Bull and holding him up and freezing him, saying that him coming after Wano isn't the right thing. In this panel, what really caught my eye, at least, for me, was that Shanks' Conqueror's Haki is strong enough for him to use it from across the sea to stop somebody from fighting on the level of Green Bull. He was able to stop Green Bull from fighting completely, hold him up, and interrogate him from across the sea. That's how strong his Conqueror's Haki is. And I don't know if we've seen anybody else in this series at all use their Conqueror's Haki at that high spoken of a level, but I'm confident to say that even at this point in the series right now, I can say that alive, I think Shanks has the best Haki in the series with this feat shown right now. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be shaming Green Bull for this, for backing down and not fighting the Shanks pirates or even like retaliating at all, but you got to look at it in this position and his situation. One, he's not going to be able to beat this red-haired pirates by himself. No matter how strong Green Bull is, he just can't beat them. Also, he has to realize that Luffy's crew is there too, and the Kid Alliance, so all the alliances are there. So he's in a very tough spot, and he's getting sandwiched by two major crews all in one situation. In the realistic standards of this fight, he can't go out there and try to attack Luffy, because he'll just lose to Shanks. He's not stronger than Shanks, and he can't really do anything about that. Because even if he was stronger than Shanks, he's not stronger than Shanks and Luffy both together at once. So he can't fight Luffy and try to attack when Shanks is on his back. So him backing off and retreating is the best option for him if he wants to keep up and stay alive later in this story. I do find it funny that he backed down the second Shanks came in, but I can't really shame him after stepping down and backing down after Shanks came up, because there's just nothing else that he can realistically do if he wanted to keep up and stay alive. In the final panel, we see Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and Jinbei look up and see what happened with the rest of the members. And one thing I love about this is that we know that Luffy's crew and Luffy has gotten to a certain point to where he doesn't have to go out there and do every fight that he sees out in the future. Luffy is sitting down with a smile on his face after witnessing the fight, and he doesn't have to go out there and fight for them anymore. Because even a few arcs ago, like Dressrosa, he would go out there and try to protect his friends at all costs. But his friends and his other crew members have gotten to a certain level and point of strength to where he just doesn't have to do that anymore. And he has complete trust over what they do and how they have grown and learned throughout the entire story. And I think that's a big development moment for the crew, not just Luffy, to where they don't have to worry about each other's safety at all costs. And he can just sit back and relax at times while he's taking on the main threat. This scene reminds me of Whitebeard during his later years, where he would just sit back and he would let his crew members do all the fighting. He would only get up and fight when he had to. Luffy's crew has gotten strong enough to the point where it's a Yonko level crew where him or Shanks or Big Mom or Kaido would sit back and let them do the smaller fights instead of him having to always get up and go and fight. So this scene and panel kind of really just shows me that Luffy's really gotten to the Yonko level completely, and we see him with the full aspirations of that. But this week's chapter was pretty average, to say the least. I didn't think about anything in this chapter that was pretty bad in my eyes when I was looking at it, but I didn't really find anything that was too crazy about it. So I'll probably end up giving it a solid 7 out of 10, but I can't really slander it because it did what a One Piece chapter was supposed to do in between these insane monologues that Oda gives us. It's these short chapters with a small fight going on, and we get done with that conflict in one short chapter, and we see how the story could continue after that conflict is concluded. So Oda did a good job with the Green Bull conclusion, finding a way for him to lose without him having to get into a conflict with Luffy and the other crew members. And that's pretty much what was centered around in this chapter. But that's the end of this video. I'm gonna go and watch and read something. I don't know. I'll see y'all next week.